What is going on, FA Nation? John Pepe here with Henry Wilson. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Game Day Playbook Show. Today we are taking a look at the Tuesday 10-game main slate. Henry, my guy, how we doing, man?
We're doing good. Yeah, how about yourself? I'm excited to talk some baseball.
Yeah, definitely excited to talk some baseball. It's a pretty fun slate here with 10 games, some top pitching, some matchups we can certainly look to target here today. So it should be a fun time all around. We appreciate you all tuning in here today. Those of you just starting to get in here, if you could hit that like button, hit that share button. Over on YouTube, over on X, we appreciate all the support here, and that's a free way to support the work we do here on the Fantasy Alarm channel. We come live to you every single day here to break down these DFS slates over on DraftKings. Just kind of quickly pulling up what we're looking at here. Again, we got 10 games on the board. Top end starting pitchers, we have Luis Hill going up against the Minnesota Twins, Shota Imanaga against the White Sox. Corbin Burns are up over 10K here against the Blue Jays. Those are your top three starters here on the slate price-wise, Henry. How are you ranking them out for us today?
Yeah, my top guy here is Shota Imanaga. I know that he's coming off a rough start against Milwaukee. It was really his first bad start of the season. Gave up those 7 earned runs, only 4 in the third, and only 1 strikeout. But I don't really care. It's against the White Sox. I think he's going to bounce back. Like I said, it's really his only bad start all season. So far, we've just seen dominance from him all throughout. So I'm not really worried about this one little hiccup against Milwaukee. I think he'll bounce back just fine. And it's the White Sox. So, it's a great spot for him to come back, and he's easily my number one here today.
Yeah, wrote up Shota today. Fantasy point prop for underdog. It was like 36.5, a number that he's easily cleared in like the majority of his starts. He's only given up more than like 2 earned runs in like 3 of his 10 this year, or 2 or more. So he's been throwing shutout baseball. White Sox are bottom team in the league against left-handed pitching. So very much in on the Shota show here today. My number 2 starting pitcher, though, kind of working our way down the list here. I don't know if you saw the lineup our Boston Red Sox put out today, but it is a quad A team, probably at best, outside of a handful of bats there. They got Bobby Dahlbach playing right field. They got some dude named Westbrook making his starting MLB debut. Weiler Abreu got hurt. It's not a lot going on in this Red Sox lineup here today. Fried coming off 8 shutout against Washington. He has a couple of shutouts already here today. Max Fried for me at 9K, a core play of mine.
Yeah, you're talking about a Red Sox team who, even when healthy, were striking out the most against left-handers. And now, the injury-riddled, the things they're throwing out there, even if they were healthy and, at full strength, you'd still probably be wanting to throw Max Fried against them today. But, with the lineup they're putting out there, Fried's been pitching really well. Can't disagree with you here. This seems like a great spot for him to go out there and dominate.
Yeah. For sure. And we appreciate everybody tuning in. I got Cam the Man mentioning Mark Vientos there with the homer last night. Yeah, listen, we're in on Vientos, especially when lefties are on the mound right now, the way he's swinging that back. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, again, throw them in the chat. Happy to help you guys out with your lineup builds here today. Where else are we looking today on this pitching slate? Again, once we get past the first maybe half or so starters, it definitely gets a little bit tougher to find. Any other mid-tier value or top guys that you're building lineups around today?
Yeah, I also really like George Kirby today. I've always been a big George Kirby fan. I've, gone to him a lot, but I think this is just such a great matchup for him against Oakland. Obviously, we just saw that great outing against Houston where he threw 6 innings, only gave up 1 earned run and 8 strikeouts. And Houston's a tough offense. And so getting those 8 strikeouts against them is no easy feat. So I like that bounce back after a couple of games where he had that lower strikeout number. Obviously, Kirby is not a huge strikeout guy. He doesn't have the upside as some of your other, typical aces do, but he's still just so talented. And up against an Oakland team, I think he could easily have a nice big strikeout game here today. I really trust George Kirby in this spot as well.
Yeah, for sure. Cam the Man wants to know our thoughts on Luis Hill. We're with Royce Lewis back in the lineup. Does that worry us at all? Listen, Minnesota's obviously been a really good offense. Again, Lewis back will help that, but I don't know. I'm not really looking to go at Luis Hill tonight anyways, because Shota's right there at $200 cheaper. Maybe if you're looking to be a little more contrarian, you go there and spend the extra $200. It's not that I don't think Luis Hill can be great. he's obviously been stellar. He's had a really good run of matchups as well to kind of help those games there. Angels, Seattle, the White Sox really running through some of the bottom barrel offenses there, especially against right-handed pitching. So no, is it a spot I'm looking to go throw heel today? Not really. Do I think Royce Lewis comes back and makes that lineup infinitely better? Sure, probably in the long run, but I don't know if today is necessarily a strong lean for me one way or the other there. We got Justin in the chat saying, let's go. Happy to have you back in there with us today. And then Lucas with an outfield question. We'll get to the outfield, but he does mention Cal Harrison today. So let's just get your thoughts there on Harrison, this matchup against Arizona. We know lefties again, or Arizona's killed left-handed pitching.
Yeah, I like Kyle Harrison's talent. I believe in him long term. I don't believe in him here against the Diamondbacks. Obviously, he still does bring in some strikeout upside, but like you said, the Diamondbacks have crushed lefties. And so I'm fully in on the Diamondbacks here against Harrison today. And Grichuk being one of them that you can throw in for fairly cheap against him. But I'm definitely not pitching Harrison and willing to stack some Diamondbacks in there today.
Yeah, a guy that I feel like he can never figure out is Dane Dunning. Guy throws 5 shutout against Arizona last time. It does walk 4, strikes out 6. You've seen him here at a 10 strikeout game against Cincinnati. Where are you with him in this matchup against Detroit? Obviously, some potential win equity built in with the Rangers being favorites today.
Yeah, that's a tough one because, like you said, Dunning has been so volatile up and down. Like, he's had some great outings, had some not some good ones. And the thing is, the Tigers' offense is kind of similar too. Like, they have a lot of times where they're not that good, and then sometimes they go out there and they look awesome and put up great at bats. So it's one of those where, like, I see the talent, I see the upside, but I just don't know if I want to trust enough to go throw Dunning out there, just because I think the matchup could be tough, and I think that if he's not on top of his stuff that day, it can be pretty bad. So I just don't know if it's worth the upside for me.
Sure. I agree with that one there. Any value pitchers on today's slate? Howard on the preview show, like Spencer Arrighetti coming off of a good start against Seattle. St. Louis did hit a couple of home runs off Justin Verlander. That was basically the only damage they did off Verlander last night. Any interest here in Arrighetti at all, just for a value play?
Yeah, I got to agree with Howard a little bit here. I actually am on Spencer Arrighetti a little. Obviously, Cardinals' offense is a little intriguing as well. Like, they have, some really good bats, but have also struggled a lot. He's also one who has gotten some good luck of a run of matchups. His last 2 were against Oakland and Seattle, in Oakland and in Seattle. But he performed really well, and he got a lot of strikeouts, and he's really looked solid most of the season. Obviously, nothing amazing. His 5.98 ERA isn't what you wanted, but we've seen some good outings from him. So here against St. Louis, I think he has some strikeout upside for this price. Obviously, win equity with Houston playing pretty well lately. I don't mind taking a shot with Spencer Arrighetti.
Yeah, I kind of was buying into that as well. And then the Padres are a team that struggle against left-handed pitching. This is another guy in Patrick Sandoval that has been very, very volatile. He's 2-8 on the year. He's got a 5.5 ERA. And then you look at some of his last starts, and he's pitched relatively okay. 3 of the last 5, 18 or more fantasy points. You pick the right matchup, pick the right spot. There's been some production there. Would you chase sort of Sandoval here with the bad numbers the Padres have against Southpaws?
No, I don't think I would. I just don't know if I trust Sandoval enough. And I know San Diego's numbers have not been great, but they still just kind of scare me as an offense, even against lefties. Like, I know it's been bad. I don't think it's going to be as bad as it has been for the rest of the season. There's too many good bats in that lineup, even against the lefty. They just scare me a little too much to go Sandoval here.
Anybody else for you at the pitching position today?
Yeah, I'll give a little shout out to Mitch Spence down there. Only 6,500. And look, you're not expecting a whole ton here. But in just 3 starts, obviously he had his longest outing, his last one, 5 1/3. So hopefully he's kind of working up more as they've moved him into this starter role. We know Seattle can strike out a whole ton. That is not an offense that we're scared of. Obviously, going up against George Kirby, the win equity is tough. Right. But hey, if he continues to stretch out here and he can go over 5 innings or even can push towards that 6 innings again today, against Seattle, maybe we see him spike some strikeouts. And I think for the 6,500, he could be worth something.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Like you said, up 98 pitches in that last start, his highest of the season. So at that point, you just have to assume there is no pitch count limit on the guy. So it's more so, can he be efficient? 98 pitches, 5 1/3. Not great, which is kind of wild. You think 98 pitches, 5 1/3. He gave up 1 hit and walk.
One walk.
So Tampa Bay was just fouling balls off with a lot of 3-2 counts. Like, what I gotta see what the game logs look like there for Mitch Spence there, but seems like a pretty clean game to have 98 pitches and just 5 1/3. That's a good call out, especially in the matchup against Seattle. Big pitchers park there in Oakland. And even the Oakland offense at times can spike. And you mentioned though Kirby, obviously we consider to be an upper echelon pitcher, but recent performances have had him more not than is pretty than good. So we'll see what happens with them there. Moving on over to the catcher position. Obviously, there's the top guys here on the board. We have Coors Field to consider as well. But where are you looking to go today with your lineup builds?
Obviously broken record here, not normally going at the top end of guys at catcher. We like to go down. Going a little further down, one of my favorites that hops out to me actually is that Diamondbacks lineup that we already talked about, and Gabe Moreno. I think he hits lefties pretty well. He's kind of had a disappointing season, but again, I trust his bat skills. I think he's going to bounce back a little bit, and I like the Diamondbacks offense here against Harrison. So for only 3,200, he's been batting higher up in that lineup quite a bit as well. So here against the lefty, I think he's a pretty good spot to go for catcher.
Yeah, and again, he's starting to heat up a little bit. Doubles in 2 of the last 3, hits in 3 straight. So I could see Gabe Moreno as a value play spend down. Just to backtrack quickly, because Justin did have a question on Flaherty. I didn't mention Jack Flaherty. Obviously, we know the strikeout upside can be there, but it is not a great matchup. Obviously, going up against a Rangers offense, they're always likely to put up some runs. So if you want to be different on today's slate, $90 to $100 for Flaherty when Fried's $9K, I guess in tournaments, Flaherty could be fine. Again, he's been very good this year. Obviously, 9 strikeouts in 3 straight games. Really looking like the pitcher that was in St. Louis before all those injuries. If you want to go there, that's fine. Not my favorite spot on the board, obviously, but can certainly get it done at some low ownership today if you want to go there. After that, again, I don't mind going up against Boston. Sean Murphy's $3,600. If you're not in an Aaron Getty, Ivan Herrera's $3,500. That one's fine for me as well. Yaney or Diaz, again, I know he's ice cold. I understand he's ice cold, but he did just homer in his last game. Maybe that's what it takes for him to turn it around. $3,400. I could go there as well if you're just looking more in the mid-tier.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you there. I also think really you want to punt play. Kyle Higashioka's facing a lefty. Hasn't, reaped a whole lot of benefits yet this year, but that's kind of how it is with him. Most of the time it's not going to, but when he is up against a lefty, every once in a while he has that power and he's going to give you a homer. So if you really want to punt and you aren't trusting Sandoval like I am, he always is an option there.
Agreed. Ken the Man mentioning that Jake Rogers is coming off the double dong game. If you want to chase the Jake Rogers homers, I guess you could. Dane Dunning, more of a ground ball pitcher, though, so doesn't often give up too many of those. First base position here. Howard and I debated the merits of spending $6K on Spencer Steer. Now he is in Coors. He is facing a lefty. So that's the right split for Steer if you're going to ever spend that kind of money. Where are you with the Reds today in this matchup against Colorado?
I definitely like the Reds here today. We obviously saw them do great yesterday, put up a whole lot of runs, and here against Ty Block, I think I'm back in on them. I don't know if I'm in on Spencer Steer at this price though. Just 6K just seems rough. I feel like I haven't been in on him a whole lot this season because I felt like the price is too high, and now at 6K, I get the matchup's good. I get that it's in Coors. 6K just seems like an awful lot for him.
Yeah, 15 fantasy points yesterday, 5,900. Even that doesn't feel like enough when you're spending $6,000 on a guy. You need that home run plus to really pay it off. Matt Olson's clean up at 51. You got Christian Walker versus a lefty at 5K. Kind of rounds up your top tier there. What are your thoughts, I guess, on this first base position? What are some of your favorites?
One of the guys that really jumps out to me is the other red on this page, Candelario. Why pay the $6,000 for Steer when I can get Candelario for $4,800, who's got over 1,000 OPS in his last 10 games?
Yeah,
he's hitting well. I think the splits favor here. He hits lefties better than righties even, and so why go for Steer here when I can get the Reds at 4,800? Someone who's hitting the ball really well.
Yeah, no arguments. And this is the right split spot for Candelario. 3 hits in 2 straight games. So maybe he's finally starting to come around after a really slow start. Yeah. He was really good for the Nationals last year. And then when he got traded to the Cubs, I think, right? And performed well for them as well. So, yeah, I'm with you there on the Candelario call in that 4K range. Going down, this is another spot where I didn't find a ton of obvious value that I was in love with. Was there anybody for you cheaper than the 4K range?
Yeah, not really. I really kind of there's a few guys I like in that 4K range. Like I said, Candelario, even like Michael Busch going against Flexen, who I don't really trust. If you're not in on Arrighetti, like Paul Goldschmidt's been hitting better at 4K, but then you drop under that 4K and it's a lot of either not great hitters or guys that are in tough matchups too. That it's not really somewhere I want to go.
Yeah, exactly. Like me, you want to throw a dart on Nolan, Chanel, Shanuel, rather you can.
Sure.
Wilmer Flores, like those are just like dart throw plays.
Yep.
If you believe in them, sure. But I'm limiting my expectations, I think, on what you end up getting out of those guys in those spots. Moving on over to second base. Again, Altuve's up at your top at 55. Semien homered the other day. He's got Flaherty at 53. Albie's hitting fifth today against a righty at $5,200. Westbrook had a good day yesterday. He's 5K. All of those are fine, but you got Marte under 5K against a lefty. So why not take a look at him instead?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, Marte's on a little bit of a cold stretch right now, but again, for under 5K against a lefty, there's no way I'm paying for any of these guys above him when I can get him for 4,900 against the lefty.
Right.
It's just too obvious. He's too good against lefties that if I'm going at the top end, it's going to be him.
Yep, I agree. I agree with you. 2 homers the other day. So we know the power is certainly going to be there for him. Other guys in this mid tier, I don't mind Jonathan India. The batting average against lefties has been there. You can certainly go there. The power hasn't been what it was since his rookie season, but still a good spot there at $4,400. Nico Horner against Flexen at 41. I like. Again, I think Nico Horner is better than the 4K price tag that he has been set at for what seems like most of this season. So happy to take a run there. And then Cam the Man's mentioning Nolan Gorman. Gorman and Donovan here. Gorman homered twice off Verlander yesterday. Legit power bat there. He's 37. Donovan leading off at 36 against Arrighetti.
Yeah, that's, completely agree with you. Like I said, I think, it's Marte at the top end. I like Indy at the middle end, but if you're not going anywhere there, like Nolan Gorman has been absurd. His numbers are just nuts. Obviously I already talked up Arrighetti, a little bit of liking that play, but if you're not in on Arrighetti, I don't see how you don't play Gorman at 3,700 with how he is hitting the ball right now. His numbers are absurd. He's now batting up fourth in this lineup. It just seems too cheap to not go Gorman here.
Yeah, I agree with you. The way that power is coming right now, a really great spot for him. We played Brendan Rodgers yesterday. If you want to go back there with the righty on the mound this time around and Montes, he could at 35. Don't mind that there. Mentioned Dubon in chat by IC3. He's at first base, outfield eligibility. Again, he's fine. He doesn't do anything spectacularly. So
yeah,
if you need him as a last in value play, probably in the outfield over first base for me there. So you can certainly chuck that. And JT saying got to play Gorman, ride the wave. I agree with you. Scott looking for DK cash pitchers. Again, I think Free to me is locked in. And we like Shota today. I think those are the 2 top guys I would look for in cash. There wasn't a ton of value here today. We've talked Spencer Arrighetti. I don't know if I trust him for cash. Spence also maybe in a good spot for tournaments, but I would look to spend up. I think at the position today in cash games.
Agreed.
And then I see through you mentioning Norby obviously hit 9th yesterday, hitting 8th today. Over 3 in his debut. Howard and I talked about this. All these prospects that are getting called up for Baltimore this year have not been good. Was terrible. Holiday has been terrible. Kowser got off to a hot start, then it's cooled off considerably. And now you have Norby here, 0-for-3 with 2 Ks in his debut. If you want to chase the Baltimore lineup, Richards obviously a much easier matchup. Sure, but it's just know what you're getting yourself into. He is $2,500.
Yep, exactly. So, 2,500, it's a dart throw. The upside's not crazy here, but obviously good matchup. If you're stacking some other Orioles with him, sure, why not? It's probably not somewhere I'm running to a bunch, though.
Right, you're playing Norby because you're jamming in Gunner, right, at 6K and things like that. So, third base position, Devers leading up there at $5,900. Royce Lewis returns at 54. McMahon versus Montes at 52. Riley 5K. Westberg 5K.
Yeah, I mean, obviously lots of good options here. I'm excited by Royce Lewis's return. I don't know if I want to jump right back in against Luis Heel, who's been pitching so well for 5,400. Like, you aren't getting a discount here. Obviously, Royce Lewis is crazy talented, but maybe let's wait a day and see how he's doing. If I'm living at the top end, I'm probably just going to go to Ryan McMahon here, who has been hitting super well, has the good matchup against Frankie Montes, who has not been pitching great, and in Coors. I just think that he probably has the most upside of a lot of these guys up here with this good matchup and in Coors.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Again, weird split for him where he's actually hit worse at home than on the road, but you're not going to completely fade.
No.
Especially again, I don't think Montes is anything special there. In the mid tier, you mentioned Candelario at first. You can play him at third. Matt Verling is someone that Howard highlighted. He's been on a run since being into this lineup here. He's 4,200, and again, Dane Dunning's fine, right? Nothing spectacular there. So if you trust the way Matt Verling's playing right now, go for it.
Yeah, Matt Vierling is probably my favorite third base play here. Again, I wasn't one that in on Dunning, so I'm kind of okay going to some Tigers bats. And yeah, Matt Vierling has been hitting the crap out of the ball. This is an awesome stretch for him. He's a bat that I've believed in long term anyway, so it's kind of it coming to fruition here. So hopefully that continues. And I really like Matt Vierling in this spot.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% there. Just the price tag on him and the hot run. He's got a little speed, a little power. All kind of plays into that. Bregman continues to stay hot. He homered again. He's now got 4 homers in the last 5, 5 in the last 7. I think we're in on Houston anyways, probably against Palante here today. But where are you in the mid to low tier third baseman?
Yeah, love Alex Bregman here. He's definitely the favorite around this range. I don't know how he's still 4,100. Like, I get it was a really bad cold streak for a long time to start the season, but he has absolutely turned that around. He is hitting the ball great right now. I don't see how he is still only 4,100, especially in a matchup like this. And I'm absolutely paying 4,100 for Alex Bregman right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. The way the role that he is on. There's a tweet yesterday that basically said like Bregman and Yordan Alvarez are both really starting to turn their seasons around over the last like 12 games or so. I mean, you see that obviously playing out here, 325, 1,100 OPS, 5 homers in the last 10. We'll get to Yordan. He was covered of the preview show. Low 5K still for Yordan Alvarez. No Kyle Tucker left yesterday with the injury. So that lineup certainly changing a little bit there, but do like Bregman a lot. Value third baseman for you?
Yeah, if I'm going to go value here, I don't mind Blaze Alexander. He's someone who, we targeted for a while and then his price went up and he started not hitting as well, but now his price has kind of gone back down. And so here against the lefty, again, is really the only place I want to play him is against the lefty. So here against Harrison, though, for 3,500, obviously he's at second base too, but I think second base is deeper. So if I have to go lower into third base, he's someone I'm going to consider.
Agreed. Moving on over again. I don't mind Carpenter either. I know he's been struggling, but he's paying 6. If you're not in on our getting that one, please.
Yeah, he gives you some upside.
Yeah, a little bit. Shortstop. Again, loaded up here with pricing wise and talent. Ellie at 65, Gunnar at 61, Seager's 57. Played Tovar yesterday. He's 5K. I like Volpe today against Ober at 49. Some really good top end guys here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my favorite here is Seager, even though I do like Flaherty a lot and believe in the talent and the pitching that he's been doing. But Corey Seager has been just out of his mind hitting lately. So, like, if I'm living at this top end, even in the tougher matchup, like obviously Gunnar Henderson too here against Richards, if you are stacking Orioles, sure. But if you have to just choose one, it's Corey Seager for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just the run that he is on. 395, 6 homers over the last 10. Could flip a coin, Gunnar or Seager. Really don't hate it. Mentioned below 5K. I like Volpe. Happy to go there. Jeremy Pena has cooled off considerably, but he's $4,200. If we're not in on Sandoval, Ha-Seong Kim is 4K. Feels pretty good. And then Dansby Swanson there at 3,500 still. I'm a believer in the talent. I know that it hasn't been great. He did homer the other day, but again, I don't think much of Chris Flexen here.
Yeah, fully agreed with you there. I think, Ha-Seong Kim's my favorite here of this kind of mid-tier. Obviously, he hits lefties super well. Hasn't, been having the best start of his season, but he's still been solid and still hitting lefties well. Right. So happy to turn to him there. I also am still a Mason Wynn believer. He's been hitting the ball well. Again, we keep kind of talking Cardinals bats, even though I talked up Arrighetti. But I think he's someone who does provide value at this cheap end as well still.
Yep, I would agree with you. Outfield then here. Judge and Soto, two of my favorite plays today. Again, I'm anti Bailey Ober today. So if you want to figure out Judge Soto in your lineup against Ober in Yankee Stadium, you certainly can. No arguments with you there. And I mentioned Yordan Alvarez at 5,100, another favorite of mine. Anybody else that you're taking a peek at when it comes to spending up in the outfield position today?
Yeah, those are really the guys for me at the top. I think it's the Yankees and obviously the Astros. Tucker's probably going to be out. And I will say Palante is a bit of a sinker ball pitcher. Like the one thing he does well is limit home runs. So like that does worry me a little bit of the upside of, Yordan being able to hit another homer. But if anyone's going to hit a homer against him, it will be Yordan. And I think that even with the sinker ball on the mound, it's not like he's a great pitcher or anything. So even if he can keep the ball in the yard, there's probably going to be plenty of damage. So yeah, I'm lockstep with you here, going Yankees, Astros at the top end.
Sure. Under 5K, some of your targets today?
Yeah, under this 5K range, I think you can turn back to some of these Cincinnati Reds bats. Obviously, TJ Friedl is at the 5K, but Jake Fraley, I know it's against the lefty here, but whoever is in this lineup, I'm not necessarily shying away from these lefty-lefty matchups fully because it is in Coors and it is Ty Block, who I don't trust. But as we continue to go down here, though, I think there's some decent options. We obviously have Michael Harris batting leadoff. And, he's been okay recently, but Cutter Crawford has kind of been struggling.
Yeah, I mean, after all, he was as hot as anybody could be to start the year. Crawford obviously coming down a little bit now more. I do like Michael Harris. Good to see him leading off. I figured that would be the case with righties on the mound, that they'd bump him up so you can take advantage a little bit of that. Verdugo hitting cleanup, I'm good there. Doyle at 43. Kowser had an okay night last night, had some very hard hit balls, so maybe you think he's going to come around. Some good guys in this 4K range. Profar against a lefty, Soler against a lefty has always been a bingo spot for us. Lord is homered again, he's got a lefty, so some good guys down here in the low 4K range.
Yeah, I really like this lower 4K range. I think a lot of this like mid 4K is guys I could go with, but why not save the money when you can get that, Profar, Soler, Gurriel. So we talked about Verling at third base, but I think those are the guys that really give you a lot more upside and save you some money compared to some of that mid 4K range.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Under 4K, any targets for you today?
I mean, look, I'm not going with Ref Snyder against the lefty because it's Fried. So usually I'm like, okay, Ref Snyder against the lefty, let's go there. But again, in on Max Fried, so probably not going to be playing that today. I do think Adam Duvall provides some power, obviously, if you are fading Crawford here, who has been struggling. But you could go there. I also think Luke Raley has still been hitting the ball well. Obviously, talked about Mitch Spence, but he's providing some good power continuing at the outfield for Seattle. So for 3,600, I'm willing to take a chance there again.
Yeah, I like Luke Raley. That's a good call out. Again, if you want to keep going, St. Louis, Burleson's there at $3,300. He homered as well. Back-to-back games now with homers for Alec Burleson. So you can get pretty cheap with the Cardinals today and play Gorman, Donovan, Burleson, lefties there against in their matchup today. And really, save some money against Spencer Arrighetti and spend up at some of the other guys on this slate. Maybe you get your Coors Field stack built around the Cards today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other thoughts here? Obviously, got a couple of questions popping into chat here. Do we have any preference? Can the man want to know over back at Gunnar, Casey Schmidt, Jake Rogers versus Yanier Diaz, Ha-Seong Kim, and Alex Bregman, putting some lineups together. Basically, you're spending all the way up for Gunnar, or you're building a more fair and balanced build with Diaz, Kim, and Bregman?
Yeah, I like both options, but I think I like that second option of Diaz, Kim, and Bregman a little better.
Yeah, probably where I'm going with. Don wants to know any cheap guys to pair with Free. We did mention a couple. Spence there in Oakland, we're kind of thinking it could be a good strikeout matchup for him against the Seattle Mariners. And then Spencer Arrighetti was someone that Howard and Henry had both mentioned. Guys that could good spot potentially for him. Now we have highlighted quite a few Cardinals bats to go against him as well because, well, he's Spencer Arrighetti. He's not, some shutdown pitcher. Yeah. If you pick the right night, he can have a good day and maybe it pays off for you. Otherwise, if you want to stack against him, you certainly can. JT, any thoughts on White Sox options for punts? Jokes leading off. Lewis Robert is back in the lineup for them today. I'm not going against Shota Imanaga.
Yeah, I can't do it. Shota's been too good that even if you aren't sure, Shota's going to be highly owned. Maybe you want to pivot away from having him as your pitcher. I'm not pivoting to stacking bats against him. I don't trust the White Sox to hit against basically anyone. But against Shota, I just don't see that going well.
Shota's allowed 0 runs in like 7 of his 10 starts this year.
Yeah, he's been absurd.
Yeah, so I'm not going to bank on the White. Listen, if you want to stack against him to be different in tournaments, because that's largely what you're suggesting, like, sure, but don't make that like your one lineup today. Make that your 1 of 20 or 1 of 3, it just to be different. But even then, like, that feels more risky than the payoff could be there. So, even if Shota doesn't have a great day, I don't think he's going to give up 7 runs to make it worth spending up for them there. Astros pitcher cost you everything last night. Yeah, Verlander was tough yesterday, no doubt. Don, but that doesn't mean you can't go back if you want to. There's Bender in here, Fried, Kirby, Goldie, Gorman, McMahon, Ellie, Fairchild, Myers, and Burleson is lineup today.
Like it.
Not terrible there, Bender. We definitely like Fried, and he's going with the Cardinals with us. So we're in on that stack. Let's get a lineup build going here, Henry.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we got Fried in. I guess the question is, do we go Fried Shota, Fried Kirby, or do we go with your guy Spence down here at 65?
Man, I think Spence has some upside. If we can build a lineup of cheaper bats and go Shota, though, I think I like the higher end of pitching so much better today.
All right. I think that's going to have us play some Cardinals then.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
Which we're happy, which we're fine with. We're fine with going there.
Yeah.
JT saying Fried Shota. Yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're going here, JT. All right, catcher. What are we doing? Plugging in. We had Gabe Moreno at 32. Yanier Diaz is 34. A couple of guys that we liked. And Higashioka. I don't think we have an official Padres lineup.
I'm sure he'll be in there against the lefty. I am okay going the full punt, knowing that we really got to save some money with those 2 pitchers and throw in Higashioka in there.
All right, so we got Higashioka. Let's just plug in Burleson here for now in the outfield, and Gorman.
Yep.
And at second, spell his name wrong. 37. All right, so that gives us 4,200. What was our spend up bat today?
Ooh, I really like Ketel Marte for someone who is like a not crazy expensive spend up bat, but is one of those top guys.
Yeah. We can't play Gorman if we play Marte.
Oh, that's right. We've got Gorman at second. Well, never mind. Never mind. Let's not go Marte then. Maybe we pivot and still take a Diamondbacks and say we go Christian Walker at first.
Christian Walker. Okay, Christian Walker at 5K. That works. A third base play here today. We did like Bregman. He's 41.
Yeah, I really like Bregman there.
All right, shortstop. So we got about 4K in a play, 2 outfielders and a shortstop. So
I like Taoseon Kim here against the lefty.
That works. Kim, 4K. And then that gives us 2 outfielders around 4K range, which we liked this tier. Let's see. What do we want to do? I guess we could plug Donovan and just stick with that stack for 36.
I mean, why not? If we're committing to Cardinals here, let's commit and hope it works out.
And that gives us a $4,300 play. We could...
Honestly, I'd still rather go with like Profar.
Yeah. So we got a Padres Cardinals stack with the one-off Bregman Walker combo there with Fried and Shota as our spend ups at the pitching position here today. So again, everybody, just an example lineup for all of you here. Benner saying play Fairchild. He's cheaper and leads off. What's Fairchild at? 3,500. Yeah, but he doesn't fit our stacks, Howard. So we are full fading course. So, just what GPP tournament lineup here. It's where we're going. Yeah. James McCann, super cheap, hitting 9th. Yeah, can do the spend down there. We got Higashioka though. So, example lineups for everybody. We appreciate you all tuning into today's show. If you could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the share button over on X. Give us a follow over there as well. We go live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern for this week. Starting next week, though, we are going to start going live at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Get these lineups out for us a little bit more, some more information to bring to you guys here as the season moves along. So make sure you get those reminders set if you hit the subscribe button over on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel. You get notified whenever we go live. You can hit the notification button over on X as well and get pinged every time we post something over on our X page there. So give us a follow. We appreciate the support, everybody. Good luck with your lineup builds, and we'll catch you all later.